Yeah, hello, Hazard from Hazard Reviews is here. I'm back from my little holiday. It was nice to finally get a bit of R&R, relaxation, good refreshing break. But the thing is, I'm now back, and why not get started with this? And I think if you know me and you know what I sort of like into who my favorite actor is, you knew I was probably gonna review this sooner or later. So here we are, Man vs. Bee, Rowan Atkinson's new show on Netflix, and, well, why don't we just get started? So I think I first heard of this probably October last year, and I was thinking like, Rowan Atkinson's got a new show, might as well get in. And the title sounds like something that, that Atkinson would be in, so, I felt, okay, probably sounds like he's trying to, do a different take on Mr. Bean, so alright, I'll do it. And I watched the trailers, it seemed harmless enough, but obviously even though it wasn't surprising me with what it could be like, I was still going to see it anyway. And you know what? I jump in, and what I did was, even though every episode came out on Friday, I didn't watch it as it came out because I was still away, but as soon as I got back home, what I decided to do was I watch 2 episodes a day, but the final 3 episodes I watched in one day, just because there's 9 episodes, so yeah. And I had a good time. In fact, honestly, I really enjoy it. It's probably I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite of Atkinson's work, but definitely comes up in a good spot among his career in my eyes. And considering how selective, how he doesn't do too much projects, I can't be too critical with certain things, So what's the premise? So Rowan Atkinson plays a housekeeper who is left in charge of housing for a mansion for these 2 wealthy people. And although he does of course mess things up and causes havoc, his main source of conflict is this male bee that keeps flying around and irritating him. He's determined and he wants to get rid of this bee, as not only is it causing him to wreck stuff around the house and almost and hurt the owner's dog, but he's determined to make sure he gets through this job unscathed so he can take his daughter out on a holiday after he's done here. So yeah, I think the most interesting thing to keep in mind with this is there is a flow with each of the episodes. I mean, each episode ends just as Atkinson's about to get into another situation with the bee, and as soon as he comes, and the next episode starts right after that. And I kind of like compared, even though this is a style of Mr. Bean, since it is set in one area, but every episode takes place differently or on a different day, you can expect a few different things here and there. And the set design of this mansion, obviously they didn't film in an actual mansion, I thought the set was actually pretty good, and you established in the first episode what the items were that Atkinson's probably going to destroy, and where he comes from, what he's supposed to be doing, and how things will end up. The humor, every time something goes horribly wrong for Rowan, it's funny, and his performance, I mean, what can I say? It's just Rowan Atkinson. He can't, in many ways, there's no one else quite like him, I mean, okay, if Charlie Chaplin obviously was an inspiration to him, and that's probably the closest you can think of, but from basically, there's really no one else quite like him in modern era, It's basically the moment he began his career with stuff like not the 9 o'clock news to stuff like Black Hat and Mr. Bean, and even some of his films like The Witches, Lion King, Never Say Never Again, Johnny English, Scooby-Doo, Love Actually, all that stuff. There's no one else quite like him. And again, and I think the most distinguishing part of this is a different sort of character than what Rowan usually plays. I mean, he is genuinely a nice man, and yes, he is very sadistic when it comes to the bee, He's trying, but what is generally different is when you look at Axton's most of his characters, they specifically the likes of, you know, I'm going to take more so his TV characters. I mean, Blackadder, they're mostly very mean-spirited people. I mean, okay, obviously Blackadder in particular, but Mr. Bean, yes, he is very, you know, he's not necessarily a good person, but, you know, because he does cause a lot of problems, and he, you know, does some terrible things, but, you know, he is still innocent in his own way. It's more like, you know, he just doesn't care, you know, or doesn't know better. With this performance, well, with this character Trevor, he is generally a nice man. He wants to do something good. He doesn't want to do anything wrong. You know, there's not really anything bad about him, with the exception of how he wants to kill this bee. And the creative methods he tries to destroy it are pretty unique. I mean, stuff like with microwave, flamethrowers, gas outs, using gassing it out, you know, stuff like that. There's even a part where he tries to, you know, actually I'm not going to go over it. It's best you watch it yourself and see what creative methods Rowan tries to do to kill this bee. And, you know, what I also like is the change of vision with the bee. Obviously, it's hexagonal, you know, representing the bee's eyes as it moves around when it's at those points. You know, I like that stuff. It's pretty good. You know, it's not quite like you see from a fly, but, you know, it's basically sort of the same vision. You know, my problems with this, well, first up, the CGI. I mean, obviously the bee isn't real, but I don't know, some moments like when the bee is, you know, when the bee gets damaged, and, you know, you start to see the marks from when Rowan actually does get a hit on it. It sort of ruins things, and there's a scene where Rowan Axton's character looks up what a male bee usually is like, and its characteristics, and it's sort of the way the bee moves as Rowan looks at this National Geographic page. I don't know, it just doesn't seem right. But then we get to this part. So there is a side plot going around where a police officer comes to their house and informs Trevor that there are some burglars in town, and they've been stealing stuff from other houses along the street. In fact, one night they actually break into their house, but Rowan accidentally locks them in with him, and, you know, gets them, and they get arrested the next day when the police show up after they hear that the house got breached from the security by checking the security data. So there's more to it, and the reveal of who the burglars are working for. That kind of, again, I'm not going to say who they're working for, and what the person who hired them's goal actually was. But in a way, when you take a lot, it more so affects the setting of this show, because, you know, it's funny what goes on with Rowan Atkinson versus this CGI bee. It kind of takes away from, you know, what happens in the house. And that does hurt it. Again, I'm not going to say what the answer is, but even then, the reveal of the mastermind, I don't know, I kind of expected it to be, if you're going to do this plot, I don't think, if you're going to do this, that's okay, but the person, I kind of feel like they could have gone in the other direction of, you know, the house. Like, pick the other person. That's what I'm trying to say. I can't go into full detail, but yeah, it does it does annoy me a bit. But with that said, Man vs. Bee is a really good TV series on Netflix. I had a good time. I enjoyed it. I laughed. Really good moments. As I said, every time Trevor tries to kill this bee, and the scene where she sings in the lip syncs in the shower was pretty good too. And every time he almost hurts the dog, like with the gas chain, like when he tries to gas out the bee. They're funny. And even the driving scenes where he wrecks the car, that's pretty cool. But above all, Rowan Atkinson, I love whatever he does, and you know what? Thumbs up here. It's an 8.5 out of 10 has stars. Could have been better had the reveal of the burglar subplot kind of been a little bit better, but or not gone the way they did. But you know what? I overall had a good time. So what's next? Well, obviously, For Love and Thunder will be my next movie review, which gets released next week. After that, Miss Marvel will finish wrapping up, and that'll be the next show review. And plus I've still got a fan request to get to. So in the meantime, this is Hazza from Hazza Reviews out, and I shall see you for my next video. Ciao.